Hi guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic Channel. Hope you're all having a spectacular day. And today I wanted to have a look. I've got some pictures from the St. Louis World's Fair that are very interesting. Some more architecture that was built just to be torn down. And then we're going to have a look at the Gaudi structure, the Gaudi Basilica in Spain. And some questions about that and about facades or facades, and how that sort of may relate to what has gone on. So let's jump into this. And I got this link from Paula. Thanks, Paula. And this is rare photos from 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. And there are indeed some pretty cool photos here. I shall leave the link. Oops. As you can see, a huge castle. and again, and this has been mentioned often, everyone, apart from the fact they're all wearing the same, type of clothes, they're all very, elaborate. And lots of hats and umbrellas. So there's actually quite a few of these photos, so I won't go through all of them. But this is, the St. Louis Fair. Look at the size of that Ferris wheel. We've got domes. Got an elephant made of almonds. There you go, an elephant made from almonds in the California exhibition. Exhibit of the Palace of Horticulture. Wow. Trollian Alps, so they've rebuilt Alpine Village, also they say. This is the Ferris wheel, and as you'll see with this old world stuff, it always tends to be riveted rather than welded. All the old world, bridges and sort of heavy steel structures. As you can see, there's 155 of these pictures, so we won't go through them all. Oh, that one does not want to be seen. Now that's a good one. A view of the Cascades and Festival Hall. Look at this thing. I mean, out here, look at, oh my gosh. So see how that's like a building that's really just a square and the inside is empty, or, not building, courtyard, where you get caught. It looks very like Angkor Wat or something to me. Especially with these big antiquitech pillars. And of course, just look at the size. And look at the, this is 1904. That's a pretty good quality photo. Some photos we see, of this time period and after, and they're just pretty not that good. And of course, fairly vanilla skies, in all of these photos. Airship. Baldwin's airship ready for takeoff with Roy Nabenshu standing on the frame. Department of Transportation exhibition 1904 World's Fair. So they still have, that looks like someone's made that in their shed. Just put a net over a balloon. But, airships were a thing. Oh, we've got a crash. Oh. Crash in 1904. He stacked the buggy. The horse was drunk. View along the street of Liddell Avenue leading to the fair, leading to the castle. And of course dirt roads. And this again, the level of technology, building transportation technology at the time of this photo. And they do tell us that this was all built, not too long before this photo, so this is how they built it, horse and buggy. Also, they say this is a very interesting arch, isn't it? This is building hardware. Simmons Hardware Company exhibit moving picture in hardware. So in here, moving picture, that looks like it's a set. Maybe behind it is a screen with a movie. That's why they're called movies, because they used to just flick stills and have, you know, the music going. But look at that thing. And what are all these shapes? What do these represent in a hardware exhibition? And why has a hardware exhibition got a movie? And we've got this fountain. That looks like a building of some kind. No, so yeah, I'll leave the link. You can go through all this yourself. Oh, look at that statue. Look at the size of that. Wow. Very cool. And this was all built to be torn down, guys, just to last a year or so while they held the exhibition. Building the mound out the front, up off the ground, with this statue, antiquitech, arches, all the usual suspects, but oh God, look at the size of that column. That's just ridiculous. 1904, it just says opening day, so it doesn't tell us what this is. I can't zoom in on these, unfortunately. We've got a eagle with open spread wings, representing charge. We've got these sort of Phoenician leafy things, laurel wreaths, and just sort of people hanging out in the water by the looks of it. And this looks like, you know, the Disney castle. So this was not a small building event. And you can kind of see in here, see how you can just, you know, this is, you can still see it, but it looks like it's been, maybe it's just the exposure of the old film, I don't know. Let's see how it's kind of whiting out, and the thing behind it's a bit whiter out, but then it just goes to absolutely nothing. This one's kind of fading into the background. So is that because they've been, you know, I'd need to zoom in really to see the edges, but yeah, this is the whole vanilla sky that we see. Is that the sun? What is that? Looks like it's been coloured in. So there you go, guys. 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. Nice big castle and mountain in the background. Oh, look at that. So I've got some internal ones too. Let's just see what the next one is. Oh, so, oh God. There you go, guys. All built temporarily to be torn down a year later. The Sagrada Familia Basilica, and as you can see, we've got a construction photo finally. Now this thing, you've probably all seen and heard of this. It's in Spain and it's pretty ridiculous. The size of this thing is just immense, and they're still constructing it. This is it was constructed by, let's have a bit of a look here. Basilica, also known as the Sagrada Familia, is a large, unfinished Roman Catholic minor basilica in the example district of Barcelona, Catalonia in Spain, designed by Spanish Catalanian architect Antoni Gaudí. And this is where we get that word gaudy in reference to art. You know, it looks a bit gaudy, and gaudy, I guess it refers to sort of going over the top with you know, facades and decorations and things like this. And it says on March 1882, construction of the basilica began under architect Francisco de Paulo de Villa. In 1883, when Villa resigned, which was the next year, Gaudí took over as chief architect, transforming the project with his architectural and engineering style, combining Gothic and Curvilinear Art Nouveau forms. So basically that's the story. Again, not much there. You know, for this building, which is such an anomaly, that's pretty much the page. So there's not a lot. Construction, unfortunately no real... Well, here we go, we do get construction photos down here, so we'll have a look at them, because this, like they said, this is it's still in construction, and it's been being built over 100 years, 140 years, and they're still building it. And down here you can kind of see the size of the people. I'll get to that in one sec. On the subject of the extreme long construction period, Gaudí is said to have remarked, "My client is not in a hurry." When Gaudí died in 1926, the basilica was between 15 and 25% complete. After Gaudí's death, work continued under the direction of Domenica Sugrafis until interrupted by the Spanish Civil War in 1936. So this thing has seen a bit of history. And basically that's the story, is it was just built. Now, here is a picture. As you can see, it is under construction. We can see that it's under some kind of construction. You know, some kind of building is going on there. But when you look at this, what we've got is, and this is one of the earliest photos, we've got this. Look how much is already there. That's already built up. Classic. The classic windows, the spires, the everything. It's all old world architecture. Even down here, we can see we've got the sort of, what are they called? Three-leaf clover kind of windows. So this is, just exactly what we see everywhere. And this is one of the earliest photos. So, just have a bit of a look at the other ones. But what I want to point out is, oh, there we go. How did we get, here we go, look at this. And you look at the size of this thing. And like I pointed out before, these are the people. So you can see the immense size. So, of course, we have the usual questions. Why, for what purpose would you build something so oversized? Look at this doorway, if that's what that is, because look at this guy here. Okay, so they're saying that it was basically, you can see this is early. This is, I'm not sure we have a date, but I would say, late 1800s, early 1900s, and look how much is complete. But then in the next 120 years, this thing has not changed much at all. It's a little bit tall, it's got a few more spires, and it's got a lot more facade on it. But the actual structure underlying hasn't really changed too much. And this is it. You can see it takes up a whole city block. Look at the size of that spire. And just looking at this picture, it looks like the remnants of something much bigger, doesn't it? And something that's possibly still half under the ground. So this is the thing. Is this just something that they have found? Fairly much looking like this. Someone's claimed it and said, yeah, I can get that, fixed up. There you go, there's a date. So this is 1905. Okay, so see how much there is built? 1905. Now this was started 1883, did they say? Yeah, March 1882 is when it was started. So 1882, so we've got 23 years they did this. Okay, so this was after 23 years. 1905, so we add 115 years and they go from this to this, which is really, as you can see, this is the main structure we've still got. 1, 2, 3, and I think that's the fourth spire there. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we've got this big archway here. This looks like it's had stuff put on top of it for sure. But that looks like this bit, so it's not had that much put on top of it. Okay, we've got those three. Okay, so that's probably the wrong angle. Yeah, but see, we've got sort of this sort of facade-y bit. I'm just trying to find that. Is that this? It's hard to say. I need a picture of a door, but this is the thing. I mean, all that they seem to have done is covered this thing in this face ad, the facade. Okay, and if we look at the work, it's probably not quite as old world. See the finishes? This looks, I mean, this is gaudy. It's like excuse me, it looks like a melted building, doesn't it? A little bit. But this is all been put on. This is all facade. And you can see the work. It's nowhere near as fine or as detailed as the other facades we see on old world buildings. So this has definitely all been added. But like I was saying, the actual building itself, it was there. Look at this. I mean, that's what was there. So in my opinion, even though they like putting their cranes up there, they haven't constructed really anything. They've kind of built it out, probably made it structurally sound, added all, you know, all this gaudy stuff all over the old Antiquitech, and that's about it. In 115 years, they've gone from that to basically what? I mean, the same thing, isn't it, really? So you can see, you know, all these cranes and all this sort of stuff, but the structure is not changing. All they're really doing is adding stuff and pouring it now. What's this middle bit? That looks like that's been added. Oh, okay, this is a picture, so this is a projection of what they want by 2026. They're actually saying they're going to build something onto it. This big spire that looks nothing at all like the rest of the building. It looks like it really shouldn't be there. So this is, yeah, the Basilica Sagrada in Spain. Like I said, it's fairly famous. You've probably all seen it, but the questions are, did this guy build it? Gaudí. You know, we all know his name. It's become a catchphrase in the design world, but look what was there pretty much when he started. So I'd say that this is just, that, you know, it's not a construction, it's a renovation. They renovated it, which means they basically went in and there was no one there. So they said, whose building is this? When no one answered, they took possession and claimed it as their own. And then they fabricated a story saying that they built this in 20 years. And then another 115 years went by and they pretty much just poured concrete over the top of it to run down. I mean, that's a bit silly, really, isn't it? Now, one thing I want to add, and this is probably a good photo to talk about it in, because we have this gaudiness dripping down everywhere, and this is what we call a facade or a facade, as I like to call it. And this is, of course, architecture. Of course, we have the arches, the arcs, and I was looking at the word, or thinking about the word architecture last night, as you do, and what I worked out is that if you change the C, the second C, to an X, you get architecture. And I just found that interesting. Architecture. Arch, I texture. Is this what architecture actually is? Adding textures to the outside of buildings, adding facades in the under the guise under the branding of the archons. The archons. Archon means ruler, okay? Anarchy means without rulers. It's not actually against the rulers, it means without rulers. So Archon, these are these dark forces, the same kind of entities that are described as devils and jinns and dark walkers and shadow people. And that's where their name, the original name is Archon. It's a Gnostic term. So we've got Ark, then we have all our archers, obviously, Joan of Arc, the Ark of the Covenant, and Noah's Ark in the Bible, all spelled differently, of course. But then we have this architecture or texture. So I just wanted to throw that in. Architecture, is this what this really is about? Are they just adding the texture on the outside to give their branding, to give their look? And it is in worship, but it's in worship of not the God that we worship or that we believe in. This is the archons. And I mean, look at the look. That's a different look, isn't it? It's just like this. Wood and Nichols likes to call the melted sort of buildings like the ice cream effect, and that's kind of what that does look like. Just this blur. And as you can see, there's a lot of detail in there, like a lot, and there should be, because they've spent 115 years doing it. But just it pales in comparison to what we see in the actual old world facades. It's just not as crisp, not as clean, not as detailed. And the stone or whatever they've used, the cement or whatever, doesn't. Yeah, just it's not as crisp. You just can't see it as well. But anyway, there we go. And this is part of it. Like I said, this is just straight textbook, old world architecture, cathedral type stuff. And of course over here as well, can I get over there? All these windows exactly the same. But yeah, they just happened to build it all in sort of 23 years. They got it all up, and then they kind of got stumped, and all they could do was add more architecture and face add to it. So there you go, guys, a couple of old world sites that give us many questions to ask, just on relevance of the buildings. Why would they do this? What was the real purpose? Where did all the the architects, the masons, the skilled labourers, where did they all come from? Where did all the materials come from? It's the same old story, the same old questions. So I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. Thanks for spending some time with me, and I'll catch you on the next upload. Bye for now.